Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball.
The Ferry Hawks are back at SIUH Community Park this week against the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. A 5-game series starting Wednesday with first pitch at 6:30. Thursday at 4 p.m., it's Jewish Heritage Night. Friday at 7 p.m., it's Soccer Night and Kids Glow Around the Bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway Night with postgame fireworks and Broadway Rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day and the kids run around the bases.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And we are hitting air with breaking news this hour out of Texas. The verdict is in the Carmelo Anthony trial. The two young men, one black, one white, the African-American teen on trial for stabbing fatally Austin Metcalf. And so this is not good news. I can almost guarantee you folks. As a matter of fact, take the almost out. This is a conviction. And you have got to have the dumbest lawyers in America to let this thing get to the jury. They've come back now within hours. We started out the day. We don't know the verdict as of yet. We started out the day expecting closing arguments today. This quickly went to the jury. There was talk of a possible plea bargain. How could anybody in their right mind, Carmelo Anthony's parents, his lawyers, how could you let this thing get to a jury verdict? It is now too late. This young man, tragic for both of them, this young man is now going to be looking at the rest of his life in prison. He is charged with first-degree murder and manslaughter. It is not looking good. We have not received word as of yet when the judge is going to release the verdict. We are awaiting that, and obviously we're monitoring that very carefully right now. You knew it was bad for Carmelo Anthony when one of the defense witnesses took the stand and completely contradicted his defense, stating that Carmelo Anthony was at fault for what happened. That should have told you right then and there that you have lost everything. You've got to plea bargain this, even if it meant 10 years in prison. Whatever the case may be, the young man could have restarted his life at the end of that 10-year sentence. Now he's looking at life. Cannot believe this thing has gone to the jury, and we are awaiting the verdict as we speak. The jury coming back in just a matter of hours. Just a matter of hours. That's almost always a conviction. 800-848-9222. What do you think is going to happen when this verdict is read in court? No cameras are allowed inside, so the moment we have this verdict, we will bring it to you. We have a number of stories that we're dealing with at this hour. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll be talking to Long Island Congressman Peter King, as we always do. And you have a situation as it relates to Iran that is a worst case scenario for America. What we all have feared, what could happen that could provoke America into something much worse. President Trump is vowing to retaliate against Iran after revealing an Apache helicopter was shot down over the strait. An American Apache helicopter shot down over the strait. The president confirming that it was shot down and it crashed near the area, and he is vowing to respond to Tehran's latest act of aggression. So we mentioned Carmelo Anthony. We're also dealing with this fact of, in L.A., Spencer Pratt. It looks like his campaign is definitely over. He is not going to be in the runoff. After several days of counting, the numbers have not worked in his favor. But let me start with this as we are awaiting, because we're monitoring what's happening in Texas as we speak, and we're about to start with your telephone calls. Let me start this way. We all know President Trump was in town last night for the New York Knicks game, and Stephen A. Smith, the sportscaster, said that if the Knicks lost, he would blame Trump directly. And so the Knicks lost, and the president, upon leaving New York last night, was not too kind in terms of his response to Stephen A. Smith.
It was, I think, mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
Mr. President, ESPN commentator Stephen A. Smith, who was talking about running for president, said he would blame you if the Knicks lost the game. How do you respond to that?
I think he's a nice guy, but you need a certain aptitude to run for president. You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that. I don't think he does, actually.
And so that's the president talking about the Stephen A. Smith situation. More bad news in terms of if you live in New York these days with these out-of-control kids, you cannot even chastise them on a city bus. In the Bronx, a man told a kid in the White Plains area to please be quiet on the cell phone. The kid apparently shot the man dead on the bus. This from WPIX TV.
Moments on board an MTA bus in the Bronx. A man is shot to death right in front of other passengers. Pix 11's Eileen LaPalmer has more from Parkchester.
Well, that shooting happened as the bus pulled up here to the traffic light on the corner of East Tremont Avenue and White Plains Road. There are many businesses nearby, but people we spoke to say they did not hear the gunshot in the middle of the afternoon, and many didn't realize what was going on. This is among the surveillance videos under review by police. You see the BX36 bus pull up on East Tremont Avenue, then passengers running off following the shooting on board. One person darts into oncoming traffic on White Plains Road to get away.
40 y pico de minutos esta guagua para aquí. ¿Qué pasa?
Martin Gomez was on the bus behind where the shooting happened. He said they were stuck on board for 40 minutes because the driver wouldn't open the doors and let them out.
La persona la sacaron en una ambulancia.
When I got there, they were just starting to put the yellow tape.
Another man who didn't want his face on camera saw the 41-year-old victim on the sidewalk after the shooting. People say he stumbled off the bus after he was shot.
I seen the guy on the floor, but I didn't see no blood, so I just thought it was like maybe heat stroke until like a couple of minutes later, ambulance came.
It's not known what led up to the fatal shooting that happened around 2:30 Monday afternoon.
And so that happened on a New York City bus in my home borough of the Bronx. You can't even talk to these out-of-control young people. Who raised a monster like this? Oh, you ought to be proud of yourself, mom or dad. 800 or grandma or grandpa or foster parent. 800-848-9222. Again, breaking news out of Texas at this hour. Who in their right mind would let this kid go to trial, right? Now, what he did was reckless, stupid. It's outright murder. Carmelo Anthony stabbing the other kid in the chest. And they literally let this thing get to the jury. So in other words, no more possibility of a plea bargain. The moment this verdict is announced, he's looking at life in prison. Game over. He may not even leave the courthouse today. The judge may revoke his bail, in which he's wearing an ankle monitor and has been doing so for the last year. The judge may remand him on the spot. Carmelo Anthony, this 17-year-old, never to be seen again in public for many, many decades. And you let this thing go to trial. It's an open and shut case. There's nothing to argue. There's no racial argument. There's no justification. The use of force, even if the Metcalf boy pushed Carmelo Anthony, you use deadly force. It is a wrap. It is over. We are awaiting the verdict as we speak to come out of Texas. Let's start with your telephone calls, 800-848-9222. Joshua, line 1, Long Island. What's on your mind, Joshua?
I might be incorrect, but didn't Carmelo Anthony play for the Knicks?
Okay, you're not being serious, and it's not funny. You have. Are you serious? Are you serious now? You think that's funny?
Anthony, that's what I'm saying. What is the problem?
Do you think this is funny? You think this is funny? How would you feel if it was your son that's either 6 feet underground or about to go to jail for life? You think this is funny? You think this is a game? Yeah, this is what I thought. Go back to mommy's basement, loser. She might have some cookies for you, Let's see here. Let's go to Luciano, line 2, Pennsylvania. Luciano, what's on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call. Donald Trump was born and raised in New York City. He has every right to be in New York watching his team. And I agree with you. This young kid from Texas, I think he's going to serve life in prison. Thank you.
Well, it's not looking good, Luciano. Thank you for the call, folks. I'll regret this as I always do, but let's go to Marco, line 3 in New Jersey. Marco, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to comment on Carmelo Anthony and the guy that was shot on the bus. How about everybody just mind their own business? Like, if that kid would have minded his own business at the high school and let the adults handle the situation, that kid might still be alive. People just need to
Marco, do you have anything else to say? Marco, do you have any? You said you want to comment on the bus. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. Do you have anything else to say?
That's it. What do you got to say about that?
Okay, thank you for the call, Marco. Have a great day. Let's go to let's see here, Larry, line 1 in New Jersey. Larry, what's on your mind?
How are you, sir? Yeah, I listen to these.
I'm good. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I listen to these kids just arbitrarily shooting people, like the guy on the bus. I grew up in York, New Jersey, through the '67 riots, and my father had a house full of guns, and come plenty of fights in school. I never ever thought of grabbing one of those guns and going out and shoot a kid because I had a fight with him or shooting anybody. It's the way these.
You know
kids
what's
are being
interesting,
raised
Larry?
Today.
We're from a different generation. Larry, you're being a diplomat. These kids are animals. Not all of them. I'm referring to maybe 10%, where the mothers should have thought long and hard about delivering these babies. If we're being honest, right? Because all they did was bring problems into the world that all of us have to deal with. And, of course, all of us have to pay with via welfare. Larry, thank you for the great call. Folks, again, we have breaking news at this hour. The verdict is in Texas. Only a matter of hours. Carmelo Anthony on trial, the 17-year-old teenager. He can kiss his freedom goodbye. The question is, what is he going to be convicted of, murder or manslaughter? My guess, murder in the first degree or manslaughter. He may not leave the courthouse today. The judge may remand him today. I'm not minimizing this, but game over. Time for a break. We are coming right back.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And the breaking news out of Texas this hour, we are awaiting the verdict. The jury only deliberated for a short time, a matter of hours. I thought the day was going to be closing arguments today. The Carmelo Anthony case, the young 17-year-old African-American that stabbed the other student in the chest, Austin Metcalf, killing him. And I'm looking at my Twitter, at my X. We see all of your calls. Again, we are awaiting the verdict. The verdict is in. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom, and so it takes a matter of time once it's announced to get this to the public. And I'm sure what's going on right now, having done a number of these cases, the racial impact of this, the judge is making sure everything is all set and ready before the verdict is announced, realizing that this verdict is going to sweep America the moment that it does. There's nothing to consider, decide, or think about. Guilty. You have got to be a fool to let this boy go to trial. If it were my own son, and it wouldn't be my son, because my son would not have a knife at a track meet. But if it were my own son in this case, right, and we all love our children and so on, son, dad failed you. I should have showed you better leadership. But I have to lie. I can't lie to you, son. You're going to have to do at least 10 years in prison. We'll be there with you every step of the way. We have two choices at this point. Either you do what the prosecutors want in a plea bargain, or you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life. Strong possibility this young man won't even leave the courthouse today. The reality will finally hit him in all likelihood today. I'm looking at my Twitter at my ex. Bob says the family let it go to trial to keep getting fundraising money. You know what, Bob? You're correct. But that money's going to dry up after today. Then what? You'll be going to state penitentiaries for the next 50 to 60 years. This young man's life is over. Let's go back to your telephone calls. Ed, line 1 in Babylon, as we await the actual verdict. What's on your mind, Ed?
Dominic, there's the good, the bad, the ugly, and stupid. I think he got some stupid genes from his parents. You just don't do this. I agree with you. Plea bargain. And, isn't this the fellow who had back pain and he shot the CEO of a medical company in the back, or am I wrong?
No, we're talking about, you're talking about Luigi Mangione, and I'm talking about Carmelo Anthony in Texas. Thank you for the call, Ed. Let's go to Joe, Staten Island, line 2. What's on your mind, Joe?
Hey, Dominic, how you doing? Big fan. I just want to share a quick story what happened to me yesterday. I was at a funeral and a repast yesterday for an aunt that died.
Okay, whoa. Cut him off. Does this story have to do with anything, or are you just talking for the sake of talking?
No. So as we're leaving, my brother says, we have to beat the Trump traffic. We have to go.
Okay, cut him off. We're not doing the nuts anymore. Cut him off. New strategy going forward today. No more nuts. I'm sorry. I am absolutely sorry. I want to get to Joan in Mount Sinai. I try and take everyone's calls. I'm not dealing with the nuts anymore. Plain and simple. You no longer have an audience or a friend or an ally in me. You can call it whatever you want. The nuts are done. It is now time for a break. We are waiting for the verdict to come in Texas. Carmelo Anthony. The jury has been behind closed doors for a very short time. That means guilty, probably on all counts. We'll see what happens. We're monitoring this situation. We're coming right back with your calls. Stay with us.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And again, we are awaiting the verdict out of Texas, the Carmelo Anthony trial. The jury deliberating just a very short time. Closing argument started this morning. I thought it wouldn't reach the jury until later today or perhaps tomorrow. In just a short time, and you can take this to the bank, this young man will be convicted. It makes no sense why his family and legal defense team let this young guy go to trial, or at least you go to trial, you posture and so on, but at a certain point you've got to be realistic. The prosecutors had a slam dunk. You're going to be convicted. You are looking at life in prison. With me now, and we see all your telephone calls, former Congressman Peter King. Congressman, so many issues to talk to you about. One, I know you're up on all the issues, including this one. What do you think about this case, the Carmelo Anthony trial?
Well, looking at it from a distance, you're never sure what's really happening. But to me, all the evidence shows that he's guilty. Carmelo is guilty. And also,
absolutely.
I agree with you. I don't know why his lawyers didn't try to work out a plea deal. It seems to me the only defense they're counting on isn't really a defense, but it's just the fact it's race. Say this is all being
absolutely.
And to me, that maybe that would have worked years ago. I don't think it's going to work today. It shouldn't work. And from all
it's
accounts,
not going to work.
Even the defense witnesses ended up helping the prosecution.
Yep.
And so to me, it makes no sense at all. And just watching how some of the African American people are yelling and some of the white guys
screaming and the terms yelled at white people outside the courthouse. Those fools are going home, whoever paid them. What this family doesn't understand, first of all, Congressman King, the family of this young man, why would you raise money and move into an exclusive $1 million community? Why would you do that? The public relations move of how stupid you look. Why would you do something like that?
I don't know, first of all, why they would do it, what the reason for it is. I don't know how they could do it emotionally, but if that were somebody in my family, certainly my son, I'd be traumatized. I would be just obsessed 24/7. What can we do? What's the best thing we can do to my son? Is there a chance he can get off? Is the reality that we should try to work out a deal so at least it won't be life in prison? We can work out something for him, but instead to be even thinking of moving. And can you imagine moving in the middle of a time like this? I mean, my God, you'd be really almost so wounded, traumatized. All you can think about is your son, not moving into a new house into a gated mansion area. God.
And Congressman King, they cited, of course, security reasons. Oh, our lives are being threatened. Why don't you tell that to the family of Austin Metcalf, who's 6 feet under and died in his brother's arms? I mean, I don't understand, Congressman. Any responsible parent would have to sit their son down and say, listen, you made a mistake that you've got to pay dearly for, and you're going to have to go to prison. But, we can live to fight another day. We can at least, we can expect you home in 10 years. If you're convicted of this, you're looking at life. And, your entire argument was to have these 5 or 6 black people outside the courthouse yelling and screaming racial slurs. How is that going to help, except for do nothing but alienate everyone involved?
It really does. It just causes people to dig in more. And I just go back to the fact that when you have any kind of suffering or tragedy in your family, all you can think of is what do you do to make the situation better or not as bad as it could be. And they just seem to be posturing and posing and enriching themselves. So to me, I don't know what went on in that family beforehand. I don't know what the story is now. But certainly by looking at it from the outside, it looks absolutely horrible. Not just, and God knows it's horrible for the family of the young man who was killed, but the fact of what is wrong with the family of the person who's accused of killing him. I mean, Carmelo Anthony's family, to me, looks as if they are just somehow exploiting this. It doesn't add up. I'm trying to come up with an answer, and I can't come up with one.
Breaking news.
Now, this is, Congressman, this is per the Dallas Fox affiliate. We have not confirmed this independently, but according to the Fox News Dallas, he has been found guilty of murder. Now, again, I have not independently confirmed this, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist or Einstein to figure out that when the jury comes back in a short time, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that when your own witnesses turn against you on the stand, you're going to be convicted of murder. And so now the only question, if this is accurate, is whether or not the judge even lets him walk out of the courthouse, because I believe he is not going to do so. I believe that the judge is going to remand this young man right on the spot. Does that sound like what's going to happen, Congressman?
That is my understanding in almost any jurisdiction in the country. If you're guilty of murder, it's automatic that you're denied bail and your bail is revoked, and you go right to jail, waiting the sentencing, and then this guy's going to be a long time in prison for this, this guy, and deservedly so. But again, I go back to you: could his lawyers, could his family have worked out something better for him, or not as bad? So listen, it's life can be tough, but he's a guy who made it very tough for himself and for his family, and then the family, it seems to me, made it tougher for everyone.
Breaking news.
And so we have now confirmed that Carmelo Anthony, as expected, as I told you at the top of this broadcast, has been found guilty of murder. So not manslaughter, the lesser charge, murder. What happens is they consider manslaughter if you get off on the murder charge. That's not what happened here. He's been convicted of the top count. Strong possibility he's not leaving that courthouse today. Reality started for the family of Austin Metcalf when he died in his brother's arms and when his brother accepted his high school diploma in his honor. That's when reality hit the Metcalf family. Reality today hits Carmelo Anthony. And so to your family, I hope you choke on that house, because at the end of the day, you sold your son out for $1 million house. You let this kid finish a trial on something like this? Absolutely ridiculous. So, Congressman King, in a minute I'm going to get to callers, what they have to say about this. But again, Carmelo Anthony in Texas has been found guilty of murder. We have a few big stories. So one, and I think, Congressman King, this is a worst case scenario for all of us that would pull the United States in even further. President Trump vowing to retaliate against Iran after revealing an Apache helicopter was shot down over the strait by Iran. Does that complicate things from 0 to 1,000?
Yeah, it does. And again, I just don't see any real hope that Iran wants to look for any kind of a deal here. President Trump keeps calling it a potential deal. These people are different. This isn't like Venezuela. Nobody down in Venezuela believes in anything except making themselves rich and staying alive. So once they got Maduro out of there, the next person standing, that's it, over. What can we do? It's different in Iran. I don't mean to give them credit, but the reality is they believe in what they say. This goes beyond wealth. It goes beyond money. It goes even beyond power. They want an Islamist ideology. They're willing to die for it. So no matter how bad the economy gets, no matter how much damage is caused in the country, so long as they feel they can keep the threat of a nuclear Iran there, and they're willing to die for their ideology. So I don't see anything really hopeful in the short term. I think, again, it's easy for me to say. I don't want to be the armchair general, but I think they had more strong military action has to be taken, and the word has to be out to Iran that it's going to keep getting worse until they do make a deal, not because they believe in it, but only because their whole regime is going to collapse. That's the only way I see it happening. It's unfortunate. Also, not to be a Monday morning quarterback, but I am surprised that the U.S. wasn't ready to prevent the closing down of the Straits of Hormuz. I mean, to me, that's the only weapon Iran has. The military, nothing that adds up to anything right now as far as defense. Their only defense is that they can shut down the Straits of Hormuz and bring the world economy to a close, or certainly close it down or make it worse. So I think the idea of somehow reaching an agreement that's at all equitable for the United States is not going to happen right now. I hope it does, believe me, but I just don't see it.
Very, very serious situation. Congressman King, I have two additional questions, and then we're going to get back to the telephone calls from the general public. Lots of phone calls on this Carmelo Anthony verdict, found guilty of murder. This is just reckless that his parents and his lawyers let this thing go this far. You plead out. The handwriting was on the wall. You were done. A first-year law student could have told you this. I mean, my God, you beg the prosecutors for forgiveness. You throw yourself at the mercy of the court, and you do 10 years in prison, and you live to fight another day. Now it is over. You are marred for life, Carmelo Anthony. It's not alleged. I did it. Say that again, Congressman?
I kept waiting during the trial. I think there must be some defense they have, even if it's not a good one, at least something that would create any doubt. It was not there at all. In fact, the witnesses they brought in basically just backed up the prosecution story. As,
absolutely.
He stabbed a guy to death for no reason.
And his only defense was, I'm black. And if that's going to be your defense, you better have a great way to illustrate that. And he didn't have, because you're going to polarize everybody from the judge to the prosecutors on down. And they're going to go out of their way to hang you, which is exactly what this young man is about to realize, because his life starts today. In terms of the penal system, in all likelihood, the judge could send him home pending sentencing, but I doubt it. He's probably going to be remanded today. So, Congressman King, let's talk about President Trump at the Knicks game last night. So Stephen A. Smith said he shouldn't have been there. And the last time I checked, President Trump was going to Knicks games when Stephen A. Smith was dreaming of becoming a journalist, working in New York and then the Philadelphia Inquirer. And he's got the nerve to criticize the President of the United States. I don't get it. This man, Mr. Trump, rebuilt a large part of New York City. He's not entitled to go to the game?
This is absolutely insane. First of all, President Trump is a longtime Knicks fan. He was there before he was ever running for president. He was there when the Knicks were not doing that great. He was there all along, all these years. And he is the president of the United States. In fact, the president of the United States come to the leading sports arena in the world for the team that he supported for years. And he's a personal friend of the owner, Jim Dolan. He's definitely a sports fan. He's not a guy who's trying to memorize the names of the players. He knows them inside out. I was actually at the Garden several years ago when President Trump went to the UFC fights. We were there. I was at him and his two sons who were there, and Kevin McCarthy. He knew, I mean, I'm a boxing fan, not a UFC fan. He knew who these guys were, what their records were, what their skills were, and he really was into it. I mean, when you were there, you forgot you were there with the President of the United States. You were there with a real sports fan. And but even then, though, I saw some of the arrogance. By the way, that night, if there's 18,000 people in the stands, 18,990 were cheering for President Trump. The UFC crowd was definitely his people. I think maybe there's some boo coming from the bleachers somewhere, but other than that, they're with him. But the only real bit of arrogance I saw that night is the actor, I forget his name, Rock. The guy's The Rock. He's a former wrestler who's now an actor. And he just came walking by and refused to say hello to President Trump. I remember that night, The Rock. That was it. But other than that, people loved him. And he was, again, he was waving to people. People were waving to him. And, again, it was, hey, Donald, how you doing? How you doing, Donald? It was it was a great experience.
So, Congressman, I close with this. We have a minute left here. I'll say it. So I remember well Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. I moderated debates with him and so on. And, he was called a racist because he called out the problems of the housing projects and of the black community. And here it is. You have on a bus in the Bronx, a man says to a kid, can you please talk a little lower? The kid pulls out a gun, fatally shoots the man on the bus. What is happening, Congressman? How do we turn around this problem? People they don't want to talk about the problem. Not all black youngsters, a few, okay, percentage-wise. How do we turn this around?
By facing reality, and you're right, it's a few black youngsters and there's a few bad people in every group. What happens here, though, unfortunately, the liberals somehow think that if a black does it, they have to protect him. They have to say you're a racist for calling it out. No. And Moynihan was right. That was back in the 1960s he did that. It was he was so prescient there. He was right. And he was talking about the decline of the black family, which was going to have ramifications going beyond those individuals. It was going to spread, and it was going to increase the rate of illegitimacy. It was going to make it harder to raise kids in that environment. And I think Giuliani tried to turn that around. He did start to turn it around. Ray Kelly did a great job. Bill Bratton did a great job. But so much that has been undone. And to me, you're not doing any favors to any people when you somehow tolerate unsocial behavior.
Absolutely. Congressman King, thank you for joining us this breaking news day. Carmelo Anthony in Texas found guilty of murder. Thank you so much, Congressman.
No, thank you, Dominic. Always. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is time for a break, folks. We see all your telephone calls on the Carmelo Anthony trial. We are coming right back.
The Dominic Carter Show, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And the Tunnel to Towers Foundation final thoughts.
Breaking news.
Again, the news out of Texas. This was not expected this early. Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old African-American teen, of murder and the stabbing of fellow teen Austin Metcalf. Your telephone calls. Joan, line 5, Mount Sinai. What's on your mind, Joan?
Hi, Dominic. When I first called in, I told your caller, the guy answering the phone, it's a straight-up murder. The jury reached the right verdict. They did it quick. And I'll tell you why I think so. It was premeditated because he had a thing in his mind. He put a knife in that backpack. He was going where he wasn't supposed to be. And it was a deliberate act that he used that knife after he pretty much forced Metcalf to try to escort him out where he shouldn't have been. And then he ran. If you accidentally kill somebody, you don't want to leave that person. You're going to hang around and try to explain yourself. This guy, he threw away the weapon and he ran. Only guilty people will do that. And as far as reprimanding him, I sure hope that the judge does it. Because in my view, this individual is a dangerous person. He's got a temper and he's unpredictable. I think he's capable of anything. I feel sorry for him, the way he was raised, and that he was surrounded by all these people that were making money off this trend.
You know, Joan, yes, they were all making money off of him. I feel sorry for the way he was raised, too. Mommy and Daddy need to be ashamed of themselves. Thank you for the call. Let me go on to Rich in Pennsylvania, line 4. Rich, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Dominic. Dominic, the Son of Sam laws in New York made the profit for notoriety laws permanent in the United States. It took about 20 years. It conflicted with the First Amendment, but it stopped felons, convicted felons, from profiting from their crimes. But that relates to the felon. Does that apply to the families? That's what I'm not sure about. There are clauses and there are stipends. There's something out there that prevents the family conviction from profiting, and there should be a clawback, and there should be an installment of this law to the family to take that money. No, I
understand, but Rich, you're referring to New York. This case is in Texas. The Son of Sam law applies to New York.
Oh, I get that. And the other thing, Dominic, is that the only reason these nut jobs keep calling you is because they pay.
I don't even want to. I'm not dealing with that. No more nut jobs in terms of. Thank you for the call, Rich. Nut jobs call. They're going to get 5 seconds of silence. I'm moving on. That's the new way I'm dealing with them. So that's why I'm not going to give them any energy. Let's go to Angie, line 5, Long Island. Angie, what's on your mind?
Hello. 2 days in a row. Sorry, I'm not a nut job. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, no, you're not, but I'm down to the last 40 seconds, Angie, so go ahead, please.
The only way things are going to change is when the parents start being held accountable. That's the only way this is going to ever get better. Parents need to be held accountable.
But let's be honest. You got to stop telling these black kids that they're a victim, that you can do anything you want to. You've got to start being honest with these black children. Democrats are raising black kids to believe that Carmelo Anthony, they can do anything they want to. And look at him now. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, in prison. And they're going to make an example out of him in jail. Angie, thank you for the call. Folks, born from the tragedy of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been honoring America's heroes ever since. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org. T2T.org. I'm back live at midnight with more on the Carmelo Anthony trial.
Thanks for listening to The Dominic Carter Show. You can hear The Dominic Carter Show weekdays at 3 p.m. and Monday through Thursday at midnight and Sunday starting at 11 p.m. on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.